Where is Kitty?
Just want to confuse you.
There she is.
Oh,
here.
she's over there. Okay. Can you give that to her? Okay.
Oh, well, no, wait. I need to read it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You're right. Oh, my God.
Call it to order.
All right, let's get settled. As you all know, I work at the direction of the board. I think the board and the board's attorney has an announcement to make as far as today's calendar is concerned. So
I think actually we had a motion on the table,
okay.
a motion that wanted to be made by a board
All right,
member as far as the calendar.
And all right.
Wait. Yes, okay. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me there, hearing officer. Mr. Hearing Officer, I'm just wondering, from what I just wanted to verify, we have 4 parties for today, potentially. Mr. Domenici, UNM, NTESS, and then Chris Albrecht. Is that correct?
We have Pete Domenici, who's with the Albuquerque Asphalt Group that we're in the middle of. We have UNM witnesses that remain.
Wait, how many did you say?
UNM has, I believe, 4 or 5.
Okay.
Is it 3 now? Okay, because I had Mr. Branoff, Mr. Kempen, Mr. Richards,
wait. I'm sorry, Mr. Hearing Officer, I'm getting, can you just give me a minute here?
That's fine.
Okay, so you said we have Domenici. How many witnesses there?
With Mr. Domenici, I still have at least 5 or 6 witnesses remaining. I'm not sure if that's been modified or updated.
Okay, and then for UNM, I have 3. Is that correct?
For UNM, they're reporting 3 of the possible 5 or 6 that I had listed.
Okay.
We still have the Department of Energy that's got 4 witnesses listed. I'm not sure if there's an update on that. NTES has 2.
Okay.
And I believe that's, by my count, that might be it, except for Mr. Albrecht that's anticipated to be called later today.
Okay, and may I ask about the Pueblo of Isleta?
Pueblo of Isleta does not have any NOIs. Maybe they have a closing. But they have a closing. I believe they have a closing that I allowed for up to 60 minutes.
Okay.
I believe that's correct, Hearing Officer.
Okay, before I get to closing, I just want to, so they don't have any direct.
They do not have any any witnesses.
And Semino has a closing also.
Okay, so the Pueblo has closing and then Semino. Okay.
So I kind of lost count as to how many we've had. I think we're about halfway through.
Okay, well, we have 1 day, so that's going to be very difficult. So this is helpful. And we all love each other very much because we've been in these meetings for pretty much 11 or 12 hours a day. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That will help me make my motion. And then I just wanted to, for the record, also put a statement, if you don't mind. I think I was looking at your order that was filed in terms of the scheduling order, and I hadn't really looked at it in some time. And so what I read was that you are encouraging the parties, all of the parties, to reduce repetition of testimony and duplication of testimony, that you had identified that there was a 20-minute limit for a cross-examination at a maximum. You are encouraging witnesses to summarize their direct testimony. These are all per your order. And then I know also that you had asked on Wednesday for the parties to meet during lunch hour. Did they ever get back with you? I think the idea was that we were going to somehow make this more timely and efficient hearing. And the idea was that all the parties were going to meet over lunch and then get back with you regarding a schedule. Can you tell me if that ever happened, Mr. Hearing Officer?
I think they spoke about it briefly. I did ask them if there's some way to streamline this proceeding. I don't think they ever came up with anything definite.
Can I hear from each of the parties before I make a motion, please? Regarding that, did you all come up with a resolution?
Mr. Jansen.
On behalf of petitioners, we haven't been able to, we haven't agreed on any sort of definite streamlined process.
Is there a spokesperson for the business group?
Well, I'd like to speak for mine, but I don't want to misspeak for anyone else.
Go ahead.
So just one thing, Member Richards, that paragraph 5 that has the 20 minutes, that deals with at the end of the entire case, the petitioner is entitled to have a single rebuttal witness. And then that witness has limitations on cross-examination. So that is specific only to if the petitioner chooses after they hear everybody to put a final witness on, which occurs in some types of hearings. And then that was very limited, direct and cross.
Is that correct?
That's
Okay,
correct.
thank you, Mr.
And
Domenici.
then as far as streamlining, I will say I am withdrawing 3 of my witnesses. I have 6 short witnesses coming on. I've tried to streamline. It's just hard with cross-examination and the level of information from the technical panels.
Thank you, Mr. Domenici. Are there other businesses that need to weigh in on this? I just want to make sure, because again, I thought this was going to happen during the lunch hour on Wednesday, and apparently it didn't. So is there any other additional input
Mr. Rose?
that we?
Nothing formal, but we did try, as you remember, with our case to try to streamline it by doing exactly what the hearing officer said, which was limiting our witnesses in direct to a summary of their written direct testimony. And so I think that's been the effort by most of the parties. How successful they are, I guess you can gauge, but certainly that's been the direction, and that's the way that I understood we're all taking it. So I mean, also trying to coordinate cross-examination. We've talked to each other and try to make sure that it's thorough but not repetitive, and tried to limit those who are cross-examining. Again, you can gauge the success for yourself, but that's, at least we've tried to do that informally. But no, we haven't reached any formal agreement on and make a recommendation to the hearing officer on how to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. So what I would, yes, absolutely.
Would you speak up?
Yep, you're, it's not, I don't see the light.
Would you mind going to the podium or using somebody else's?
That one's working.
So it's see the greenhouse.
So just to clarify, I think the request that was asked on Wednesday wasn't to get together to streamline, it was to have a discussion about which versions to use, version 4 or 5, or call them docket numbers. That's all that was at issue. I don't believe that conversation happened. The petitioners made their own proposal about just using the docket numbers. But I'm just wondering, could we maybe just take a 10-minute caucus? Now, the reason is I'm hoping if some of us parties can talk, we could maybe agree to some streamlining, but since it's just been thrown out, I can't
Well,
speak.
I am fine with that. I think that's a great idea. I have a different recollection of what the ask was for Wednesday during lunch. So I think we have a different recollection for that. But if you all can meet maybe for 5 minutes, get together and then come back, I can make a motion after that.
Does the board generally agree with this? Just some nods?
I think it was
A
my.
10 minutes for the parties to think about how they could streamline the process. Great.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for that recommendation.
Gonna take 10 minutes. We'll be back here at 9:05 or so.
Chimino, don't forget Chimino's first. She's on my.
Right, yeah, just please remind me.